And welcome everybody. Tonight we start a new podcast venture. It's called Across the Infield. I am your host, Chris Legge. With me tonight, driver of the 94 car and Racing for a Cause, the league. We have Troy Radford. Troy, how you doing tonight?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Chris, how about yourself tonight?
Well, I'll tell you, little bug going around here in Vermont, but other than that, doing just fine. And really looking forward to going after it. Let's see. Got a couple of comments already. My goodness, we just started copyright music. It is actually not. I have not been flagged for that at all. If I ever am flagged for that as a copyright written song, I will definitely take it off. But as of right now, I am free and clear to use that. I have checked into it. Nate, welcome to the podcast. How you doing tonight? So that all out of the way. Troy, number 94 car. Tell me a little about. Let's start off with, how did you get into iRacing?
You know, it actually it's been quite a while ago for me. I was actually one of the beta testers originally with iRacing. I was heavily involved in R Factor when it was. I mean, I know it's still a thing, but the original version of R Factor. And I also actually helped develop some of the Arca Sim Racing. The Arca Sim Racing sim that crashed and burned pretty hard. So I've kind of been around for a good bit, and I was lucky to be involved in some of the early beta stuff with iRacing. That was, 2007 or so.
Okay. And then eventually, of course, you got into iRacing. Can you remember anything about your first couple of months in iRacing?
You know, the one that I remember the most was actually, I ran a good bit of late models, and I ran a ton of the legend cars, because that was right around the time that we had left. Actually, I was racing legend cars in real life, and we'd moved up into the late models, and so I would actually use iRacing to test out some shock packages and things like that, because of course, one of the great things about where I used to race was Linear Speedway, which was, of course, one of the early tracks on iRacing. So I did get to kind of transfer a little bit of stuff out of there. That's kind of my earliest memories of iRacing, was the late models, and then I ran pretty heavily for the points championship in one of the first full seasons in the legend cars.
Okay, sure. Now, you know, I've heard it before on different podcasts and seen it. Really. Let me turn it down just a little bit. Troy, you want to go ahead and just say something just so I can adjust volume down a little bit? Apparently we're too loud. Yeah, that should be coming okay. Where was I? Oh, like I said, I've heard it before on other podcasts. So my biggest question is, you hear people, 3 channel. Oh, gotcha. So you talked about transferability from setup between iRacing and the actual vehicle that you were driving at the time. And I mean, was there quite a bit that was really reality based in the geometry? Was it kind of, hey, it's close and that's as good as it's going to get? Where was it really?
You know, honestly, for me, most of my background came in dirt go-karts, and we were real heavy in dirt go-karts, and then in karting, I did all my own stunts. I did everything. Of course, one of the things about dirt go-karts is there's absolutely no suspension. So when we moved up into legend cars, and then, of course, into late models, now, you know, I know nothing about suspension. We were blessed to have Mike Bruce, who actually was our crew chief for the late model, an absolutely brilliant guy. Grew up around Linear Speedway and just knew a ton of it. But, so he helped me a good bit as far as learning, but for hands-on, especially, you know, for shocks and spring packages and everything like that, I could get in here and test, and even if it wasn't exactly right, I could really kind of adjust different things and come up with things for us to try during the test that, you know, maybe I wouldn't have thought of personally, just because, you know, I had little to no experience with spring and shock packages.
Sure. So let's go from the early days. Let's fast forward a little bit. Before Racing for a Cause, was there a league that you were a part of?
Actually, no. This was before any leagues were around. There was no league racing on iRacing at that point. So I ran for probably about a year to 2 years on iRacing, and then got married and moved to Atlanta and kind of got away from it a good bit, and just didn't really have time for it. So I was off of iRacing for, gosh, that was 2008. So it was really the better part of 9 years that I was away from iRacing.
Gotcha. So a lot changed when you came back, certainly with the physics, the tire models, the cars themselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's all for the better. And memory fuzzes everything a little bit. So when you look back, you're like, oh, it was perfectly fine back then. But I know stepping into it now that it's vastly improved, especially with the way the tire models work and of course, geometries and everything like that. Everything is so much smoother now, but it was such a long stretch that it was really kind of hard to remember that far.
Yeah, even in my short time, you can, if you can remember it, or if you look back at old videos or something, the sim looks beautiful now compared to even when I first started just a couple of years ago. So I can't imagine, being from beta, skipping a pretty big chunk and then coming back. It had to be like it was brand new, really.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, one of the best parts of doing that is when I came back in, I pretty much paid for the majority of the tracks, except for, of course, new content that had come out.
Sure. And, it's addiction's a strong word, but I don't know that it's overplayed here. It certainly could be considered that, I'm sure. It's a hell of a hobby.
Oh, absolutely. And I would dare say that my wife would definitely throw the word addiction out for my iRacing time.
Yeah. No, I think I have somebody here that would agree. So let's take it just a little bit further. So eventually, you joined the iRacing League, Racing for a Cause. And I think the league was pretty small, relatively speaking, when you joined.
I came in, it was the very beginning of the second late model season. And you guys were still pulling some pretty good numbers when I came in. It was, I think late first season, you guys really started blowing up. And I came in early second season and just kind of hung around and, was just thrilled to, be there and see what everything, I saw all these guys who were great and I was fresh back into iRacing. So, I was just wanting to hang around and kind of try to be near people at that point.
Well, you've succeeded. If by near you mean the front runners. So we'll skip forward a little bit more. There was a championship run there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually the street stock. My first championship with you guys, the street stocks, and had a heck of a battle with Chris Mefford. It was kind of coming down to the wire, and unfortunately, one of the late races, Chris had some bad luck. Ended up actually, I think we both ended up wrecking out of the race, but he got wrecked just a little bit worse, and that kind of set it in motion to kind of put a little more pressure on him and kind of take it off of me for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Tire warmers. I've heard about the nitro and the gas. Troy, any truth to that at all?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay, because the Troy Radford in chat is actually saying yes, it is very true. Terry, thanks for checking in, and thank you for the graphic. It's just about what I was looking for, so perfect. Well, we're gonna keep going the way I was going. So okay, we're gonna fast forward. Championship season over. We move up. What's your role right now in Racing for a Cause?
So right now I'm a co-admin for the Racing for a Cause Xfinity series. So Rick Greenaway and I are both heading up this series. So now it just started the season. We've done 2 races. And just had some awesome feedback and some great showing.
I can attest to the great showing. Now, if somebody's just catching this, or somebody's kind of waiting on the outskirts, and they think it might be, well, we've already missed 2 races, it's too late, I'm not going to be able to compete this season for points. What do you have to say to that?
All right, so the first thing I'd say is we actually have it built into where there's some drop races. It's not an official drop race, but you have to run 75% of the series to be eligible. So you can come in, you can win a race, still miss, 4 or 5 races. I forget the exact number, but you can miss those races before the championship and still get in. Like myself, we're going on vacation here this week, and I'm going to miss a race. And heck, the next race I'm not going to be able to practice for hardly at all, so I'm probably going to be a little bit on the downside there, but I'm still, I win a race, I'm going to be right there in there. Doesn't matter if I miss a couple of weeks.
Well, and that serves a purpose. So right now, we are free to say, I'm just reading the chat and getting a chuckle. So it is safe to say you are not too late to join the series. There's still room to join. No problem at all.
Oh, absolutely. And, we've had some absolutely awesome showings so far. We've had close to full fields. We had 34 and 33. So we're getting a lot of people in there. We've had some great competition. And one of my favorite parts is we're getting a lot of really new drivers. And these new drivers, we're seeing some great racing out of them, very respectful racing. And I love it. I absolutely love that.
Well, it's kind of one of the principles that Racing for a Cause was founded on. So I, too, love it for different reasons. But it's great to see that kind of metastasize into what it is now. So moving on, that takes care of Troy, the racer, Troy, the series admin. I had a gentleman ask, I forget who it was, let's find out, because I think it was Dave. Yes, it was Dave. Asked, what are you using Troy for? Well, let's talk about it. Your computer, what do you got there? That's under the hood. What do you got for a wheel? What do you got for pedals? Screens? I want to hear it all. What do you got?
All right, so the first thing that I'm actually running on, just to start off, I've got a Valera Sim chassis. Actually picked up on eBay. Caught a pretty good deal on it, had it shipped over. There's not a ton of them on eBay that are nice quality, but I was able to find a good one. So I've got that as the base setup. I do run triple monitors. Right now I'm on just Vizio, I think 27-inch TVs. Eventually I'll upgrade those into actually some monitors instead of TVs, but they're good enough for right now. As far as wheel and pedal setups, I'm on G29 wheel, and I'm running a V3 pedal setup. The V3s did take me a good bit to get used to. Absolutely awesome pedals, and I love them now, but I think all of you can attest I was about ready to chunk them out the window the first week I had them.
I remember.
The rest of everything that I'm running, so immediately in front of me, I do have a Z1 dashboard LCD screen over to my left. I use that mostly for fuel calculation. I also have, on my right-hand side, I have a Derek Spears Designs button box, which is actually soon to be replaced with a Sim Speed Shop button box. We are actually designing a button box that's going to be released from them. That'll be here within the next few weeks. But definitely a lot of excitement there with what we're going to have going on. Computer, I'm trying to look up the exact specs right now, but I do have an iBuyPower with a 1080. I've just picked it up, actually, I guess about a month ago now. Just an absolute beast.
Yeah, and that really actually covers it. You don't need to say more, because it is. All right, so I did want to go back, and actually Terry actually reminded me to go back, and his question was pretty simple. Why does Trot run Kidney Cause Foundation on his cars? So from now on tonight, you will be Trot.
Terry, you had to go there, didn't you? Okay, so long story short, with the kidney with the Kidney Foundation. I run National Kidney Foundation Colors. We had a couple of years ago. Actually, this was probably 2009. My wife and I, we were getting ready to get married. Her grandfather, who was a father figure to her growing up, actually was diagnosed with kidney cancer. Both of his kidneys failing, went on dialysis. My wife and I both were tested. We were both matches. She ended up getting knocked out in testing. She ended up not being able to donate. I did go through and I donated. So my left kidney is gone. I have righty only. And so it's just been a heavy part of our lives, of course, just, a big part of our lives with with everything from kidney donation to, just raising awareness of everything there. I mean, we are heavily vested.
And I don't know if I've actually told you the story. I don't want to get overly personal about myself, but if I haven't thanked you for that cause, I really need to. You may not know, but my father, who's type 1 diabetic like my son, actually had 2 kidney transplants. The first one failed, the second one from a sister. So kidney or any organ donation is super important. If you haven't considered it, please do. If you haven't looked at the back of your license, there's usually a place in most states to check off, I am a organ donor.
Oh, absolutely.
Terry wants to know, and he's probably not hinting at all, Troy, who is your biggest threat for the title?
I think I'm going to say Turi. Is it Turi?
Oh, Turi Reinhardt.
Turi Reinhardt. I will say, we bust on Terry. He's a great guy, and Terry does have a lot of speed, and he definitely showed it. He ran into a little bit of bad luck where apparently iRacing hated him this last week, and it actually booted him off after he was leading the race.
Well, you know what we call that in sim racing, right? He blew a motor.
Yeah, absolutely. So Terry blew a motor. iRacing blew Terry's motor last week. So that unfortunately did hurt him a good bit. but honestly, I mean, in all honesty, of course I know a few of our guys that are going to be up there. Of course, Chris Meffert's going to be right up there. We also have AJ Hamill. I mean, AJ, man, you talk to him and he's very humble about his ability, but man, he's there every single week. So I think AJ is going to get up there and really be a challenge. Armando, Armando's brand new to us, and he's leading the championship right now. So it's really hard to tell right now. I know that we've got some of the normal guys, but man, we've got some new guys that I think are going to be right up there too. And on top of that, we've had 2 races and 2 surprise winners. So we've got 2 guys that both got their first wins with Racing for a Cause, and and we've got 2 brand new winners for us. So.
It's true, and it's not to be disrespectful, but they both of them came out of nowhere to win the races. It was absolutely amazing to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And, we had, between Clifton and Doug Wysocki, I mean, both 2 very well-respected guys across the league. And, I couldn't be happier to see both of them win those races. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have been a little happier if it had been me, but I'm still thrilled for them.
Well, yeah, of course. All right, so let's step away from the sim for a minute. Who is Troy Radford outside of iRacing?
So outside of iRacing, that's a good question. So I actually am way, way, way too busy. I'm a musician originally. Went to school, actually have a degree in music education. I play guitar on the weekends at church. I'm also a executive pastor at church. So I don't know how many people know that about me, but I am a pastor. So a little bit of music. That more importantly, though, I'm a father to 3 little kids. I've got a 4.5-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and my lovely wife Samantha, who puts up with all of this mess.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all have to have somebody, and that's your somebody. And thank goodness she lets you. Somebody got the old stop spamming ban. I think I saw something about. I have to view this. Uh, who's better, Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, or Troy Radford? Oh boy.
I'm definitely gonna go with Eddie Van Halen on that.
That's a good call, actually. I dig that call.
Troy Radford is a completely adequate acoustic guitar player. That's about it.
So, we have a newish member for the league. He shares a last name. You wanna tell me about him?
So actually, that's a pretty cool one. So my dad, of course, has been watching our races and broadcasts for since since I started racing with us. Growing up, my dad, of course, for those of you who don't know, Ray Radford. My dad and me, that was actually my mom, my dad, and me. That was what we did. We went racing everywhere from dirt go karts all across the U.S., running WK nationals, and that was our thing. That was our racing was our thing. So of course, when I got married and we kind of dropped out of the racing scene, it was it was hard, a little bit of an adjustment period. But getting on iRacing, it's definitely been really exciting just because I know he's there at every stinking broadcast watching, and he's thrilled to see it. But now, with now we're kind of getting to the point where we're getting him involved and where he's actually racing. So we got everything up and running. I think actually right now he's in a server practicing street stocks at USA. So we're getting him there. He's going through his rookie stuff right now and kind of just getting his feet wet. He has a ton of experience with setups and things like that, but he has no experience driving. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
Terry's coming up with all the good questions tonight. Who's better in their prime, Little Rad or Big Dad?
I think as far as racing, I think that I would take the cake. He has no oval track experience, but on the flip side, my dad did. He was he drag raced motorcycles all the way up until I was probably 4 or 5.
Okay, well that's pretty cool.
Tear me up on that.
That's pretty cool. And he did your setups?
Yeah, he did setups for the first part of when we raced dirt go-karts. And then when we started running the nationals, we would kind of do them together.
Okay, so it's almost safe to say then that without Big Dad, Little Rad wouldn't be able to race. I mean, no setup, no race, right?
Oh yeah, no setup, no all. And Andy, who's going to fly the highest a day guy? I'm going to probably guess me because my my luck with the drafting tracks has not been the best.
Well, we've touched on it in a couple of streams throughout the time that this channel's been active, but you can't go to a super speedway and expect what I'll call a quote unquote normal race. It just doesn't happen there.
Oh my gosh, no! And we've tried to do hang in the back. We've tried to run up front, and always seems to be at the end of it. I'm back in the pits anyway, so I'm not sure which way to go.
I believe we're coming in pretty close to the end, Troy. As a couple of people are actually, Timmy wants a hat signed if you'd be so kind. And Doug's shouting out a hi. So there's no hat for Tim. Timmy, I tried. I tried. His Sharpie is broken at the time, and he just can't actually. If you send him a piece of paper, he'll have one of his kids scribble on it for you and send it right back. You have to send that postage prepaid, I believe. Is that right, Troy?
That's true. And actually, Tim, also for some odd reason, despite the fact that I'm follicularly challenged, I don't wear hats. So I don't really have any hats to send you. Oh, wait, he wants it. He's going to send me a hat.
Well, now look, now Laura wants a hat. This is going to become a thing, Troy. I think hats all around.
Actually, weren't we working on that?
Well, we are behind the scenes working on something, and that something I believe is going to be announced very, very soon.
Awesome.
Like very soon. But not tonight. Yeah, that's what you call a teaser. I know that. Lock of one of his last hair. Oh, I don't think he can do that, Rick. It's not fair.
No, there's not enough to spare.
Window decals were all out. We have no more window decals. I don't think. Maybe there's one out there. Now that's a valid question. See right there.
I actually have a pack of candles that I'm going to be sending off to Greeny and Mefford. So I do actually have to send those out there. I've been a huge slacker there.
Subprime rates for all. Well, yeah. Greeny's starting to pick up the lingo, so we might have to change it up on him a little bit.
We should, for those of you who don't know, Chris and I both have some experience in the car business. So we should actually create fake lingo just to mess with Greeny. Make him say stupid things at work.
Yeah, right to this finance manager. That would be wonderful. Can you imagine the look on that poor guy's face? Or gal. Actually, it goes both ways there.
Yep, that's true.
So, one last thing. You mentioned vacation earlier. Where are you heading? When you heading? When you going to get back?
So I am taking a half day at work on Friday. We are going to book it out at 2 a.m. over to the airport on Saturday morning. We are heading down for 8 days in park at Disney World. So it will be extremely stressful and awesome.
So what you're saying is if you work 3 different jobs, you too can go to Disney World.
Absolutely. Or
okay.
You can work one job that's 70 hours a week. And 4 days. So, yeah, we're going to head down. Let's see, I'm flying out Saturday. I'll be coming back late Monday, a week from then. So I should be back in time for Phoenix, assuming I don't get caught at work or fall asleep.
There you go. So truly just missing one race, coming in cold for the next race. So you're missing Vegas. You'll be back for Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. So yeah, Rick's gonna step in and actually do all of the adminning duties for me there. So I appreciate him coming in and doing that.
Okay, I'll bite on that. I know the answer already because I've seen pictures of the dashboard, and that's all I needed. But Troy, you want to tell everybody what you drive in real life?
So in real life, I actually drive a Ford F-150. Ideally, I would love to have a sports car of some sort, but of course, having 3 small children in car seats doesn't usually help that.
And which trim package is that F-150?
That is an XLT.
XLT, and
don't make enough money to have that platinum package.
We just worked on one today. Beautiful truck. All right. Well, hey, listen, Troy. I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. It's been fun, and I don't know if this is going to be the final way we're going to present this in the future, but it's short, it's sweet, and it kind of accomplishes the goal. It's no Dodge. Yeah, you're right. You can tow with an F-150. I too worked for a Ford dealer. I know. I also worked at the same time for a Dodge dealer. I know. So again, Troy, I appreciate you for coming out tonight. And if I don't have a chance to talk to you in person via TeamSpeak, really, I appreciate it for coming in. Have a great trip. Have a great time with the family. And that leads me into what I'm hoping is going to be next week. Guys, I need volunteers for this, or else I won't be able to do it because I'm not going to come in here and talk to myself. So if you want to join me here at Across the Infield, feel free to send me a message on Facebook. Hit me up on TeamSpeak. We'll set it up. Figure out a time that works for both of us. Doesn't necessarily have to be on a Wednesday night. And I will definitely, Terry says he's in. Terry, you are in next week. We're going to book it. And
Oh man, that broadcast is going to be 2 hours long.
Let's see. The only way it could be longer is if the three of us were in the same channel at the same time watching cat videos.
That's true.
So again, Troy, again, thank you. I want to put this out before it gets old. Have a very great night, everybody. And really did enjoy this, Troy. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.